Gotcha. And we're live. And we're being safe.
Birthday, dear Keith. Hey, it's Keith's
Happy
birthday today.
to you. I should have put that as a disclaimer.
That it's a birthday.
Missed opportunity.
Well, happy birthday, Keith.
A disclaimer, birthdays are dangerous to your longevity.
That's true. That's funny. Oh man.
What are you most looking forward to in this next year?
I am just looking forward to enjoying more of the things I enjoy, like family. Got 2 weddings in the next 12 months that I'm going to enjoy. Got my brother just moved to town, gonna enjoy some time with him, and just I mean, continue enjoying clients. That's a big deal. I enjoy those friendships and time with everybody. So those are the ideas that come to mind.
Something that comes to mind about Keith and his birthday is you've been taking care of yourself. When did you become a runner?
Probably my late 40s. I've I kind of had a little bit of knee soreness lately, and I've been giving it a breather. But I went for like, I think, a 2-mile run yesterday.
Okay.
So I'm sure the doctors out there would tell me to keep resting it rather than
Because
running
it
on it.
wasn't too long ago on your birthday. You ran what, 10 miles?
Every year during my 50s, I ran 10 miles on my birthday, and it was brutal. So I ran 100 miles
That's pretty
in
strong.
10 days during my decade of my 50s. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think I could probably do it. I just don't want to do it this decade.
I was at the chiropractor before I came here, and this guy with that Life is Good shirt on and a baseball cap, he made a wisecrack at me because I was getting my back adjusted, and he goes, "You know what your problem is?"
No,
like,
tell me.
I was like, "Okay, here we go." He goes, "It's your collared shirt and your office." And so he's a retired guy. He said, once you retire, you just don't have any problems. And I didn't have the gall to say, well, then why are you in here? But anyway, I appreciated his wisecrack.
I like it. I like it a lot. Well, Amanda, what do we need to know?
Not that much, just thank you for your patience. I know all of the DocuSigns, all of the paperwork has been a real pain. But we
It's work.
appreciate it. Yeah. But it's growing pains and change is good. And I just want to reiterate what Keith said last week about like all of the changes that we're making are to your benefit in our beliefs. So thanks for hanging in there, and we're just chugging through. We're getting there day by day.
I think one of those benefits that, and I keep talking about it, that I'm excited about it. I've got a meeting with a guy today who's one of the head leaders at Fidelity Investments on their money market fund. I can't wait to talk money markets with this guy. I mean, I'm just as excited to talk money markets as I have been about stocks.
Doug's a little bit of a nerd, but go ahead, Doug.
These are game changer type things, and normally a game changer type thing, it's just small incremental improvements. And if you can stack a couple of those small things together, especially over the course of your investing life, it can really make a difference. And so, yeah, the money markets and rates, that's what's on my mind this morning. And it's probably something that's been on your mind too. I saw on the news, I think it was this week, that there was some chatter of Social Security benefits potentially going up. And so, you know, as interest rates go up, inflation goes up, there's all types of talk about, you know, where are you going to make margin, or how are you going to improve your situation? And so even the federal government's looking out for you and your Social Security benefits.
I had in my notes late July for this call, something I left out, but you kind of made me flip back into my calendar to look at it, because the idea I was going to talk about probably 2 weeks ago was incremental improvements and the difference an incremental improvement can make on a situation. And I'm gonna have to grab my readers to read my notes here, so happy prime birthday. Over a 16-year NBA career with 5 teams, Del Curry shot 45.7% from the field over 1,083 regular games. And he averaged 11.7 points per game. And I think it's safe to say anybody who could average almost 12 points a game in the NBA was a great player.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, just getting to the NBA makes you a great player, but he averaged 11.7 points per game in those 1,000 games. And his son, Steph Curry, has shot 47.3% versus 45.7%. So keep in mind, both of these people are competing against the best in the world. And 47.3 is not bad. And so the difference between going from 5.7 to 47.3 is only 1.6 percentage points, right?
Yeah.
The difference in his career scoring went from 12 points to 24.3 points. And so that incremental increase from father to son had a dramatic impact on really even the career. Like the son's only had to play at one team, he's won some national or won the championship a few times. And that's I think been our goal, is to make some incremental improvements for your benefit so that we can maybe help you better into the future than we've been able to do in the last months. And that's always been our goal.
In some ways, if you were to wrap up, the last 10, 15 years, this might look like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because we've been diving deep on some administrative type things. And I know you've been going along with us strongly. But we've got the future in mind. I'm especially excited about even the next 3 years of what the investments and potential can look like for you guys, and the clarity, the visibility into things. And so, yeah, we're making some investments that aren't short term from a business decision. These are long-term investments, and we can't wait to just keep doing life with you and just stack some incremental improvements along the way.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And I think I mentioned this before, just the ability and desire for me to learn new tricks. This being on my birthday and learning new tricks is really, I think, critical for me to be relevant, not only at Gimbal, but in life. Like if I can continue to learn new tricks, learn the ways that all the cool kids are doing things, as long as I'm vibrant and energetic, it's going to keep me integrated and keep me directed in really positive things versus those sources that can be negative. And I think it's really easy to get negative when somebody forces you to learn something new. You can get really anxious about it and push back, or you can say, okay, I'm going to breathe in. I know when I'm not breathing in, my shoulders get real tense. So I have to relax my shoulders, breathe in, and go, okay, I'm going to learn this, even though I thought when I got out of high school, I could quit learning.
I think it was a LinkedIn post I saw this week where, it was LinkedIn through maybe Advisa. They're a couple doors down from us. They're a coaching firm, basically. And they said that generation Y and Z, that's the #1 request through the workplace, is to foster an environment that keeps learning. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I think it is. And there's a lot to learn. I mentioned in this month's anchor that I taught a class for Indiana Wesleyan back in the mid '80s. And you may not have known this about me, but
Professor Tyner.
Well, that you may not have known. And then you may not have known that I had a computer programming degree when I left college before I got my master's in finance. And I don't want to beat my own drum. I'm going to. I was pretty good at it. Like I understood the process, the logic, the thought process, and yeah,
Good enough for Texas Instruments.
Yeah. I mean, but it wasn't what stirred my soul. But I took that when I came to Indiana and I needed to make some money to be able to pay the bills while I was getting started in this business, and taught an adult education class on computers. And if you go back to the mid '90s, mid '80s, and think where computers were, and there were some disgruntled students in that class, and I wasn't wise enough to understand their frustration wasn't necessarily at me. It was basically learning another language. It was learning computer language, and I'm completely aware that all of us that have to do these forms are really in a different language. The computer isn't helpful sometimes, and what you need to know, I think, from us at Gimbal is that we will be helpful, and we are here to help you no matter what's going on, and we'll do our best to get you there. And part of that, I think, what I've discovered is that even though we've partnered with Fidelity, if you are going to Fidelity individually without our partnership, even that thing would be
Can I
lot
put
more
a shameless plug in for this?
Yeah,
So if you've got a Fidelity account and it was a IRA or a 401k or something like that, and you've been doing it on your own, because we're associated with them, we've hired them. We can now help you with those Fidelity accounts. It's really cool, and you can have visibility into everything. So, and we can see where those are, and we can even help you allocate them. So call me on that. That's something brand new that we couldn't have done 1 month ago. So that's another area, an incremental step that just might make your financial life a little easier.
yeah. I was reading in some of the brochures that I got from Fidelity that they have over $1 trillion of people's wealth that's there, and so a lot of people are navigating through Fidelity alone, and we've found that their help for us as the advisor has been really good. I don't know if
Really
it's
good.
the same for an individual, but the difference between going through their phone bank as an
Yeah.
individual and coming to us is that we know you pretty intimately and can help you kind of navigate that situation. So if I hear you right, whatever you're going to do, Doug, you're going to help them turn a key where it gives us a window into
That's
those
right.
accounts that we wouldn't otherwise be able to see.
Yeah, we just discovered this recently, thanks to one of you who might even be listening right now, who invited us in. That if you have a Fortune 500 company and your 401k is there at Fidelity, we can probably help you take a look at it.
Very cool.
Yeah, it is super cool.
Well, the stock market is still showing some strength, showing a little bit of weakness yesterday. We had what was called distribution day yesterday. Maybe I'll share my screen and show you what that looks like. This is the, did I share the right screen, Amanda? Are you seeing my charts, man? Okay.
Yep, I'm seeing the NASDAQ.
I think, let me try something here. Control. I don't see it from.
Did you try something new?
Look
at that.
Both of my screens are growing. I don't know what I did. That was really interesting there. Let's see here. So now that
I'm just seeing a bigger NASDAQ.
Good.
Yeah. So what I was wanting to point out, and you might not notice this yourself. Did that? Okay. So this day right there, which is yesterday.
The pink down.
Yeah, and then it correlates with that volume thing there. That is something we prefer not to see in a market rally. That's what, if you've listened before and you don't recall what we call that, that's called a distribution day. That's where your day ends down for the day and significant volume has picked up. And that's not Doug and me buying or selling things in your account. That is big institutions taking money out. So what has kind of conceptually happened is probably about right here on the NASDAQ, this level. I didn't get at the top on the left here, it's kind of crooked, but this level, it looks like we're hitting some resistance there. So we'll watch that. We've moved some money into the market for you, and I think what we're really watching for is this line right here. What happens when we get to that? We feel like that, or we believe, no, we don't feel like, we believe that investing life is better above that line than below it. And you can see right here back in the early part of the year when it got up to that line, it just bounced right off of it. So before that, this line was sort of trending upward, it flattened out, and now this 200-day moving average is trending downwards. And so we're just trying to get you in the market as safely and reasonably as possible.
I think what happens is when you have prices above the black line, the 200-day, you have investors who have had some good success in the market. They've had some gains, and the optimism just picks back up. And it's just math. It's just, the line is just telling you that there's more people who are making money than not. And so we're nearing that line. And as you can see, Keith, just to the left of where we are today, we shot up and nearly touched the 200-day. Yep.
Right here.
Yep. And then it reversed back down. And so, hey, we love this little bounce that the stock market, NASDAQ, S&P has been receiving. Love it. But we are a little cautious going up to the 200-day.
Well, and so I don't know if there's anything new with the market. I thought, anything else you want to throw out about the market, Doug?
No, I don't think so. I just think we've been in a nice little trend the last 2 weeks, and it's been really refreshing.
Yeah. And what I wanted to talk about, get your opinions on, Doug, and I got to find the actual name of it here because I forgot the actual name. It is called the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022.
I tell you, man, the marketing that goes into some of these names is so well played. Nice work, whatever firm came up with that.
Yeah, it is impressive. I had a video I was going to share, and I wonder if I closed it out. I may have to bring it next week.
I mean, the deal on that, and I know I've talked about this the last 2 sessions of our Friday webinars, is our good friend Milton Friedman. I mean, the only way to really make that name true is just to stop spending money. And I don't really pay too close of attention to what's going on in Washington, D.C., because it affects my unique personality. But I'll tell you this, like every time I turn it on, there's some type of spending that's going on. And that could be on semiconductors, that could be on, I love Ukraine, that could be on Ukraine. I mean, who knows where the money's going? But yeah, I know our friend Milton, looks like you're pulling Milton up.
Well, I had him up and I was going to show this video because I have.
And I'm biased on Milton. I know that. I am. But it just makes sense.
I bet he was annoying as fire to have as a professor too. He's so stinking smart, and I think he's right. Whenever I listen to one of these old videos, it makes me just go, You
can't spin your way out of inflation. I mean, that just doesn't even make any sense.
Well, I promised you all a few weeks ago to keep barking about inflation as long as it's there, and I saw this video this week, and I'm just going to share it with you, and I hope you can hear it. I think I had to go learn how to make sure you could hear this, and so
nice work.
Yeah, and so I had to do that, and then I had to act on the fly because I thought I still had it here. And so here we go. Let's listen to Milton for 1 second, okay? Well, it's actually going to be about 35 seconds.
Comes down to the same thing.
Hold on.
Inflation, accountants and computers, but it comes down to the same thing. Inflation is made in Washington because only Washington can create money. And any other attribution to other groups of inflation is wrong. Consumers don't produce it. Producers don't produce it. The trade unions don't produce it. Foreign sheiks don't produce it. Oil imports don't produce it. What produces it is too much government spending and too much government creation of money and nothing else. Yes, sir.
You and I are walking through, because I watched that same video.
Did you?
I went down the internet rabbit hole one night, like at 10 p.m. I don't know why, but I do that sometimes. And I was just watching Milton Friedman videos. He interviews like normal people, and they're like at their kitchen table. I mean, it's good stuff.
Well, so my bias where I've been barking about inflation for all these weeks has been, it comes from just believing that he's right on this thing. And so to call something the Inflation Reduction Act and then to spend all these billions of dollars, all it means is we're throwing our government, not us, our government is throwing gasoline on this fire. And I thought I would throw a couple examples out of what this, I saw the Senate signed it. I don't know if the president has signed it yet or not, but so in 1983, I thought it happened sooner than this. The CPA board, or whatever they're called, decided that that accountants needed to have 150 hours in a degree in order to become a certified public accountant versus 120 for most degrees.
Okay.
And I just think that is ludicrous myself. I didn't realize it had happened because that was right about the time I graduated. So it happened after I graduated. But so what increasing the bar does is it reduces the supply. The more that you require of somebody, the less people are going to be able to do it. So then the 150 hours, then if you're like in college and trying to decide what you want to do, you're like, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't, whatever. And so then you add to that some other complexities and the cost of an additional year of college, with the cost of that going up over time, and just trying as a young person to figure out in your head, is this really worth it? The supply, I think, of certified public accountants will be short for a long time to come because of that mindset. And my son is studying to do that, and he was offered an internship at a ridiculous wage, I thought, as a 20-year-old. That was amazing. And the more I thought about it, is this accounting firm knows they have to go after these young go-getters aggressively to get them on their payroll. And this was before this Inflation Reduction Act, which theoretically includes hiring over 80,000 IRS agents.
Doubling.
Right, from 72,000 to 80,000. And so the inflation that you're going to see is that, in my opinion, this is a prophecy. This is not a guarantee. This is the opinions of Keith Tyner, not even Gimbel Financial. It is, you're going to see an inflation in the cost of having your tax prepared, because there will be a shortage of accountants out there. Because where is the government going to get 87,000 accountants that they don't already have? Where are they going to get those people trained? How efficient are those people going to be? And who are they going to disrupt? Who are they going to disrupt? And those people whose lives are disrupted by these people, who are they going to hire to help them with the disruption? And consequently, the young Caleb Tyners of the world, who probably are going to be on the private side of things as an accountant, will be smiling as they help you, but they're not going to do it inexpensively, because there's going to be too much demand, and the demand is going to drive up the prices on getting your taxes done. It's something as basic as getting your taxes done. I wouldn't be surprised if you see it double in the next 5 years. I just wouldn't be overly surprised, maybe in the next 10, but so that is an inflationary, just a very subset. And that inflation is going to hit probably the middle class more than the wealthy, because the wealthy are already probably paying a nominal amount of their wealth to have their taxes. And even if that doubles, it's not going to impact them as it might be the ordinary citizens.
I tell you, the other people I was thinking of on the inflation, question is if you have a pension right now, or let's say you're thinking about taking a pension, or you're wondering what to do with a lump sum, or maybe you retired 10 years ago and you have pension payments. Inflation affects this. It affects your calculations if you're going to retire. Most of you, if you're getting a pension, you don't see cost of living adjustments for that pension unless you're a government employee. And so there's a lot of pressures that are moving on to people in retirement because of inflation.
One place that, when I was reading through summaries of this thing, again, I'm kind of cynical towards the name of it. I don't think there's any chance it's going to reduce inflation.
No, there's no chance at all.
Yeah, but
look at the last few bills and their names, and it's like, and I'm talking big things. look at the names of this stuff and it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, some of
It's
those.
the opposite
Yeah,
of
so-
whatever you know, the name. is.
Yeah, as we started sending out all of our citizens money, what that does is it flips on the printing press, which creates
Yeah,
inflation. So, but here's one that I was reading about, and what it's going to do is be deflationary. And unfortunately, we can't help you with this portion of it. One of the inflationary things we like in our role for you is increased demand for stocks,
yeah. heck yeah.
because that allows your stock portfolio to go up. But one of the things that's in there that I didn't realize really till this morning is there's a thing called the 1% buyback tax.
I don't know that.
And the 1% buyback tax is any corporation who decides they want to buy back shares of their company, which is demand for your, like if you own XYZ stock and the corporation says, hey, it's priced too cheap, let's go buy some. They're charging that corporation 1% of the amount of money that they're going to spend on that buyback has to be paid to the federal government in tax.
Ah,
So to me, that's absurd.
that's brutal.
To me, it's absurd that I pay 7% when I buy a car. So,
Right.
So
Right.
but that 7% compared to a car is nothing
Well, it's a
compared to
risk.
these
It's a-
hundreds of $1 million buybacks,
a
right?
risk for those companies and controllers and
Yeah.
to say, hey, our stock looks cheap. I mean, there's no guarantees on that.
Let me throw one other tax thing that I was reading about out to you that I don't, and it creates demand for young Caleb Tyner. On Thursday, July the 28th, the House members Steve Cohen and Don Beyer, Democrat from Tennessee and one from Virginia, introduced the Billionaire Minimum Income Tax Act, which I think most of us aren't overly concerned for billionaires. But conceptually I am, because I think then they can make it the millionaire minimum income tax, or the 100,000 person once they crack the seal. So anyway, you may not have been reading this because it may not have pertained to you. The proposed legislation would impose a 20% annual tax on the total income of households worth at least $100 million. First of all, I don't think it's the government's business what your net worth is anyway, but so that means they're going to start measuring, they would have to measure all of our net worth somehow. Then total income by this is defined, includes unrealized capital gains.
Yeah.
And so that might concern you if you have any unrealized capital gains, like you have real estate that's gone up, or maybe you had some company stock you received and retired. And who knows when it may even at some point hit our gains on our retirement accounts. I don't know what all these guys can come up with. But what they said then is once you pay the tax on that unrealized capital gain, it would be a credit towards future capital gains you realize. And a lot of people, what they've done in estate tax planning is they pass on the capital gains to their kids because there's a step up in basis at death. But if you're charged the tax for money that's not liquid, you may have to sell some assets to come up with the cash to pay the tax on something you would have never realized to begin with. So anyway, I'm just throwing that out there for my unknown billionaire friends that says, I'm for you. I'm not anywhere near your situation. I feel your pain and frustration. There's not enough of you to vote against those Congress people that are bringing up such ludicrous ideas. And the crazy idea I have is, why don't you guys quit spending them?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's it.
I don't want to sound like a downer. I've kind of been going after this whole inflation thing, but I just think that's real. And my heart is for the lower income people with less income, less wealth, that have been hit the hardest with inflation. And it's just an invisible tax by our state, federal, and local governments. And it is, I won't go as far to say evil, but it's definitely disingenuous and dishonest to say that it's blamed on anybody besides the government.
Well, on that note, it is. I mean, it's where we're living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people who probably need to know this the most maybe aren't watching the show,
Yeah.
but if you have friends that want to watch this show, and they can see my energy level. I care about poor people, and it's kind of an odd thing to be a money manager, and that's a high priority, but it is a big priority for me.
The Shreve family loves Jeremy Clarkson and his shows, the car shows. I can't think what it's called right now. Anyway, he would always do this kind of stuff. Like we would have some kind of downer, and then he'd say, "On that note, goodbye." And so anyway, goodbye. But we love you. We are grateful for you. And in any season, we want to walk through life with you.
Have a great weekend. See you guys soon.